Hey Taurus, this is your general tarot reading for Taurus, Sun, Moon and Ascendant rising sign for the month of December. Taurus, this is a very, very, very big month where a lot of new things really start kicking off for you. And some of those things could involve a lot of very, very deep passions and involve your wisdom, your experience, what you've learned over the last while. That passion plus your experience could actually bring in a little bit of coin for you somehow, somewhere along the way. So let's just say there's a wealth of wisdom going on for you this month, where wealth meets wisdom. Now, why is that? Why is that? Because there's a huge amount of energy going on in the ninth house for you this month. We've all the usual suspects there, Saturn, Pluto, but this month we have Jupiter, the great expander, moving in there. We also have a new moon solar eclipse happening there on what date? December 26th. We have Venus in there up until December 20th, your ruler. She's in there for a while. Mercury is also in there for a while. So there's a little bit of a ninth house party going on there. And what is the ninth house? It's where we experience life, where we discover through experience, or maybe even at times the hard way, how to find meaning and deep purpose in our lives. For many of you, Taurus, as the first card hops out there, look at this for the first card. I told you this is a big month where new things are kicking off. But before something new can kick off, something needs to be released. So that's why I think this card came out. I'm going to leave it down there and wait for all the other cards, but we'll keep talking until we have them all, Taurus. You could have found yourself going through this whole thing over the last while of having to live in such a way that the only way I can have meaning in my life is to experience life. I've read all the books from these famous people, guides, gurus, spiritual teachers, even political activists, anybody, or, you know, the old classics, the Greeks and the whole thing. And you've read all the old information. You've really taken in what I feel is a lot of inspiration from deep thinkers in this world. But there's a moment of saying, really, I've listened and listened to the words. I've heard what all of these people had to say. I have learned a lot. Maybe I've gone through a new form of education. I feel I've leveled up somewhat in what I know. But what I need to do now is somehow along the line apply that to my life. Apply it in such a way that I'm able to say, these are the new laws of my life. I now live by this. I mean, for many of you, it could be a thing where you're saying, I now become vegetarian, and that is my new way. I now become Christian, Muslim, Jewish, Hindu, whatever. This is my new way. I now totally disregard all the traditional faiths and just follow a more humanistic path, whatever. It's something along the line here this month, Taurus, where you've accumulated wisdom, and now you're saying, this is where I'm sticking my stakes in. This is where you kind of put in my flag on the moon and say, I claim this, and this is my purpose, and I'm going to live like this from now on. So that's one good thing. A real moment this month where it begins, Taurus, where there's a whole new lease of life, where you're now experiencing life completely differently to the way you've been experiencing it before. You're going to get neck deep in life, because that's the only way you'll get there. Now, only one word of caution I have with all the energy going on this month in the ninth house, Taurus, and that is that you might find yourself, some of you, not all of you, but there might be a temptation to follow a kind of doctrine to the absolute letter, and yet in doing that, you're missing the point of it. So I want you to pay attention to that, where maybe at some point these new things that you believe, don't let them get overbearing. Don't let them become the law in your life, but also the law that other people have to live by. I believe in this now, therefore I'm going to condemn anybody who doesn't also believe the same thing as me, okay? I know you're not going to do it. I know you're more enlightened than that, Taurus. I trust you. But just pay attention, because there might be a moment where you might actually catch yourself this month saying, if I have the right in this life to live by a set of standards, then shouldn't other people? You know, so that's just something that, you know, if you don't watch for it, you could get tripped up on it, you know. And the reason for that too is you've Mars and Scorpio in the seventh house, kind of the potential to get very annoyed maybe with other people, or very insistent or demanding with other people. And you're saying, you're making me sound like a horrible person. Not at all, Taurus. I know you'll get through this. I'm just showing you where you could potentially have a hiccup on your path to something much bigger. Now, just to rewind, you're saying, I'm still waiting on that part where you said something to do with wealth. Didn't you say wealth, experience, wealth of wisdom or something? I did. Because your ruler, Venus, is in this ninth house as well for a while. So I feel for many of you, a few coin might be put aside to go further with your education. Now, how do you do that? Some of you might want to go to university. Some of you might want to travel. You're saying, I want to go to the school of life. You know, some of you might want to get really stuck into your community and say, I'm not just going to talk the talk. If I have a system of belief, I have to put it into practice. So if I'm believing that all kind of kids who've gone in a wrong direction can be kind of helped, then less talk, more action. So it's like, I'm going to get in and experience and almost test my beliefs. If I'm believing this and this is now going to be an absolute stronghold in my life, then let me live by it. Let me really run with it. So some of you could be really, really running with something. I feel many of you want to experience things like even running a marathon, or giving yourself a kind of very unusual challenge to prove, I've done this, I have climbed Everest, or you know, whatever your equivalent to that is. I have experienced what it is to arrive close to the peak of some ideal perfection. So I know you're probably looking at me saying, yeah, you're still not talking about money. I'm just saying that some of you could be spending coin on wanting to experience what you would perceive as a kind of, you know, peak experience. So that's where some of your coin is. Education, traveling, definitely traveling. But for just to flip this over too, for a great many of you, you have accumulated a lot of wisdom. Maybe for many of you, it's time to start making some coin from that, because Venus does move in on December 20th into the 10th house of career, and where people are watching you, they're looking at you. And it's very favorable for you here, because when people start looking at you, they like what they see. You're giving off an air of professionalism, but there's an air of instant likability about you. You could say anything to anybody, but there's something where people would say, I can't quite put my finger on it, but I like Taurus. I didn't hear what they said, but I warm to them. So people are instantly warming to you. So if you have a message, something that you've learned, you might want to blog it, vlog it, write it, share it, do some sort of speech, prepare something to share with people. This has been my experience, and now I'm going to share it with you. This has been my spiritual journey, and now I'm going to vlog about it. This has been my awakening moment. This has been my journey into something. Even for some of you, this is a great moment to have a journey of recovery and make something of yourself, because you're teaching how you got out of maybe a difficult place or a dark place. I was grieving and I did this. This was my journey. And you write about it and make maybe some coin from it. Or do public speaking about, I was once maybe addicted to something and this is my journey through it. And again, people will come. They will want to see what you've experienced. And that's just really nice. If you're really serious about going into this new energy, making some coin, do it from what you've experienced, because there's no lie in a real, genuine experience. And people are already warming to you, Taurus. So they'll warm to you more when you begin your tale, begin your story, write about your spiritualism, express and live as some sort of ideal version of yourself. It's a very authentic place for you to be, because you're saying, this is my law, you know? And for some of you, I also get the feeling that you might get into motivational work, not just teaching, but motivational teaching, particularly motivating people through very difficult challenges. Like if you're good at business, you might motivate people who are really hanging on by a thread, you know. There's something about, I just feel you, Taurus, being very good, maybe going into 2020 to take that new direction of saying, if I have a purpose, then let me share my purpose with other people by inspiring them, telling them, come on, you can do it, you know, because that's what's needed. That's what's needed. You are going through this whole transformation of being the great awakener. You've got Uranus in Taurus. You're waking people up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. And I'm going to motivate you to stay awake. I'm going to make sure you pass your exams. I'm going to make sure you climb that mountain. I'm going to make sure that you get yourself together off the streets, and I'm going to point you into a career. You know, if that's something, you're just becoming a real source of inspiration for other people because you're living like an inspirational person. And again, there is somehow a connection with making money by also being that motivating person. So you're able to kind of kill two birds with the one stone, live an authentic life while at the same time making coin by it. The universe always loves authenticity, and it will always reward it. Yeah, so that's really nice. I like that, Taurus. We're going into 2020 and you seem to be leading the way. I get a feeling Taurus in general for me is really somebody who's going to move the ground. You are earth, but it's like earth shattering, moving something big in your life, something that was stuck. I feel now you're beginning here this month to move into 2020 saying, I am taking up my roots and I am actually not just moving for me, but for other people. There's that feeling too, Taurus. This isn't all about you. It's like the next big move I've got planned in my life is also going to help other people. I'm going to get this new career or live this new type of life or have this real solid feeling going on in my life, and it's going to maybe have a knock-on effect with my children, with my partner, with my family, with my community. There's the feeling of you gathering everybody and saying, come with me, I know where to go, you know. Very, very motivational, very much. I like that. Now, just getting back to some details here. When it comes to love, I'll say this: Mars is in the 7th house in Scorpio, and I feel that some of you are maybe having a little bit of a reawakening moment there when it comes to passion. There could be a real moment where you and somebody significant, your partner or somebody new, gets really into deep conversations, talks deeply, gets on such a profound psychological level and maybe even spiritual level. There's a real heat and intensity to your communications this month, Taurus, and certainly a lot of magnetism and passion. A lot. Now, when it comes to things like work and your career, I did say to you, whatever you're doing with your work, there's a feeling of you're able to push anything across the line, specifically, say, from the 20th of December onwards. It's whatever flows out of your mouth. You can speak anything into existence. You'll be getting on very well with bosses, co-workers, things like that. If you have to do interviews, you'll be so relaxed into it. There's a feeling of, for me, it's just instant likability. Everybody, now we always like you anyway, Taurus, but there's an extra little help from the universe where even the more challenging or difficult people might get a little bit of a happy glint in their eye when they see you. So you're instant likability. So if you're pushing something ahead with your career and you want to, for me, it feels like get more coin, maybe asking clients for more coin, upping your prices, asking your boss for an extra little bonus for the holiday season, or maybe even a promotion. Now is the time. Now is the time to start rolling that out and to get moving with that. There could be a great leveling up, I feel, in your career where there is money coming your way. Yeah, but there is a lot of hard work involved with that before you can get the money. I just see that here. For me, it's a lot of convincing, almost like you have to sell yourself, selling yourself to future employers, selling yourself to clients, selling a product. It's not going to, even though you're very likable this month, Taurus, there's still a huge amount of work that has to go into pushing that across the line. But it's work that will definitely be worth it. Now, I just want to show you this. Side by side, Saturn and Pluto, making an absolute huge effect on you mid-month as they appear side by side in your spread there. I'm just waiting on 4 more cards, my love. Other things that might be going on, we have the full moon this month on December 12th happening in Gemini in your second house. And again, this feeling of second house is very often where we draw a lot of energy. It's a lot to do with value. It's a lot to do with money. But it's also a lot to do with speech. And Gemini, of course, is the communicator. For me, this thing of putting a huge amount of work into communicating, selling an idea, marketing yourself. If you can really get on that before December 12th, there is something positive coming out of that for you. It's like a big, great push to communicate a new sense of value. Communicate a new sense of value. And I feel if you do that, Taurus, many of you will find that your money worries as we go into 2020 might kind of disappear a little bit because you're pushing. There's an insistence going on with you. I'm tuning into your energy and I feel like you get more the more insistent you are. Don't take no for an answer. Like, don't be kind of like, I want it, not like that, but be insistent, be determined, be stubborn. I know they always accuse Taurus of being stubborn, but keep talking, keep saying, this is what I want. Even keep sending it out to the universe. I want this, I need a new job, I need a better place to live, I need a new car, I need X amount of money in my account. There's a level, I feel, Taurus, of going into 2020 saying, I'm not just sitting on my laurels anymore. I'm going to start insisting that I get rewarded for... I get rewarded for what? Hard work, sure, but it's not that I get rewarded because it's the feeling of, because I'm the most knowledgeable person in the room. I'm the one who knows the most about this shit. So therefore they should value me because I actually have gone through the school of hard knocks. So by doing that, I now deserve people to recognize my intelligence, how much I've learned, how much I've grown, and to be somewhat rewarded for that. So, right you are, Taurus. Now let me get 4 more cards going on here. Anything else that might be happening there? There's so much. I did mention writing about what you're passionate about, or certainly creating something that you're deeply passionate about. Now, I will say this, with Venus in the 9th house there, some of you could be having a whole new fascination with all things culturally different to you. You might get very interested in cooking foreign food or reading all about foreign things, learning a foreign language, foreign studies, foreign politics even. And even for some of you, trading with foreign people could be a real winner for you all through 2020. Or teaching foreign groups, maybe even teaching on the internet. But there's also the thing of, for some of you, falling in love in a foreign place, love in a foreign climate, with your current partner, or maybe with somebody new. Traveling. You've got to get out there and see the world, Taurus. You've got to do it. Now, where are these 4 cards? Come on, 4 cards. We've 2 of them there. That one. And then that one. Just let me get 2 more, my love. Yeah. Oh. Ah, okay. 1 fell on the floor. Hold on, Taurus. Here. Come on, come on, come on. A new opportunity to do something you're passionate about. Loving it. And 1 last one that hopped out there. Justice. Okay, so finally, my love, finally, let's go over to your big grand, ta-da, your overview. So I did say it all kicks off this month for you, Taurus, and it does, but it kicks off with a kind of a calamity. And you're saying, no, please, don't tell me that, please. But this is the card, a very, very spiritual card. Now, it has a few meanings, but this is where we conclude some long spiritual journey. I get the feeling, Taurus, as we enter the month, there could be a level of confusion about what you believe anymore. Do I believe this person anymore? Do I believe in this faith anymore? Do I believe in tarot anymore? Do I believe in X, Y, or Z basically anymore? What is changing? And what seems to happen is that there needs to be a real let it go, Taurus. It's obvious you don't believe it anymore. It's obvious you don't subscribe to that particular ideology anymore. It's obvious that it's not working for you. It's obvious maybe that how you understand it now isn't serving you. So what you have to do is either go much deeper into it and really understand it, or else say, no, I've dug deep enough and that's not my thing. I'm switching to something else. So there's a feeling of completely needing to, it's almost like to stand by a new system of faith or a new ideology or a new way to live your life. And that could be a real challenge. Maybe it's an issue to do with money or an issue to do with your home or where you live. Look, if I go and follow this new path of faith or idealism or whatever it is, it might mean having to sacrifice my job or move away from my hometown or live my life in a completely different way. Am I really ready for that? Well, it seems you are. It seems, though, that it's going to hurt a little bit. Taurus, I get the feeling with this card, it's always a wrenching moment. I get the feeling some of you could be put to the test, where somebody might call you out and say, you're always saying X, Y, and Z, but you don't live by it. Like they could be saying, prove it, prove that you're that. Prove that you're a spiritual person. Prove that you're a woke person. Prove that you're kind of going to do that business venture or going to travel or go to university. Prove it. And there's a feeling of, well, this really is the moment. I can't just talk my way out of this. I actually have to prove it. And I have to let go of holding on to the edge of my past and dive right into my future. I have to do it. So it does feel that there is a moment right from the very beginning, Taurus, where it's like, I have to put my money where my mouth is, because I'm not a liar, but I don't want to be a hypocrite. So yeah, being pushed a little bit, Taurus, so that you do actually genuinely follow through with something. I hope that makes sense. Now, this is a Mercury in Sagittarius card, and Mercury on December 9th does go into Sagittarius, but again, it's this feeling of a communication that comes your way that forces you to make a real judgment call on your life direction. It's that same thing. The feeling of, if you just examine the top row, the tower is where something just, it's fake in your life now. It's a false structure. It's a false belief. This is the Tower of Babel, where they constructed a tower to rise up to the gods. And it had to collapse because it wasn't real. That's not how you get up to the gods, not by building a concrete tower. You rise there through your own spiritual journey, you know. So you can't get to the house of the gods by anything that's fake. Okay? And I feel that, again, a negative kind of rushing you, being forced Hurry up, Taurus, hurry up and show me that you're not a hypocrite. Hurry up and get your business up and running. Hurry up and do what you say you're going to do. Hurry up and get a new job. Hurry up and get into that relationship or leave that relationship. It's just there's a fire. And it comes out of a little bit of embarrassment, I have to say, Taurus, where it's almost like somebody comes with a stick and kind of shoves you and says, well, which are you? A hypocrite or a genuine person who lives as they say they believe? Yeah, sometimes we all need a little bit of a prod with a stick. Yeah, but that seems to be what's happening. And you're saying, that sounds very negative. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. You're an earth sign. Sometimes it's not so easy for an earth sign to just get up and jump, you know. Maybe the air signs or the fire signs might do that, but you consider a lot of things. You take your home, your environment, your family. You know, I'll do it, but just I have to figure out the details first. It's very comfortable where I'm at right now. It's not so easy to just take a leap. So something does come. I'm just wondering what it is, because there could be a connection to either the home you're living in or the town you're living in, or a family situation that forces this big change where you have to make a bit of a judgment call. Either way, it seems to happen, and it seems to be exactly what's needed to prod you into 2020 to get you on the right track. For some of you, it could be business. Mid-month, I see some of you saying, I need to turn so much around about how I make my money. I want to get into a new line of business, or I want to go on a new business adventure. But there's a little bit of fear that I'm not going to be a success at this. There's a fear. I get the feeling for some of you that you've experienced maybe some failure before. Not very recently, I don't think, but there has been some failure, and there's a feeling of once bitten, twice shy. It's not going to work, but I'm going to give it a go. Now, I want that to completely change, because we've got Saturn and Pluto here saying this is what's changing. There's a feeling of having your foot on the gas and having your foot on the brake at the same time. If you're diving into this new life or a new love, a new relationship, a new place to go in your life, then it can't be both stop and go at the same time. You can't be saying, this is my new life experience, goodbye everybody, it's going to be a failure, but at least I can say I tried. That's very negative, Taurus. So what needs to be repaired, and I feel it coming in very strongly around the full moon, around December 12th, from there on onwards, is this thing of, will you please let that old narrative, 9th house, inner script, go. Please let it go. We've all failed in the past. Every single one of us, Taurus, every one of us. We've all failed, but we've tried. Now you're more experienced. Now you know better, so now you're going to do better. Don't assume that if you failed once, you're going to keep failing. Put your foot on the gas and lift off that brake. Let it go and start giving yourself some new narrative. I will succeed. Not just, I can potentially succeed if I do that. Just say, I know I'll succeed. I've got the two big boys here, Saturn and Pluto, backing me up. If anyone is looking for a teacher in the 9th house, if anyone is looking for a master, a guru, a guide, we've got Saturn, the Lord of time, saying, pace yourself. You've got lots and lots of time to go on these new adventures. You won't fail. I will make it strong. Every step you take, I will concretize that. I will make it solid for you. It won't fail. And then Pluto saying, and go deep with this. Really experience this. Dive, really kind of surrender and hand it over to your new faith or whatever. Just hand it over and say, well, if I'm changing, if I'm starting over and letting the old way go, then it's a kind of fall into it. It's scary as hell, but, you know, feel it. You know the phrase, feel the fear and do it anyway. Just feel it. And don't be holding on to the edge of that abyss. Just fall into it and say, well, this is where life has taken me now, and I just have to trust that it absolutely will work out. This new business venture will work out. Asking for that promotion, of course it'll work out. Going for that teacher's position, absolutely it'll work out. Blogging, vlogging, opening a website, a social media account to teach something I know, teaching community groups about my experiences of what I've been through. This is going to be magnificent. But what I'm not bringing with me are the false structures of the past, the fears, because they're false structures. It's false to assume that if you fail before, you'll fail again. That's false. It's false because there are too many variables involved, you know. Let it go. Let it go. And just say it's going to work. It is definitely going to work. Now, I feel for many of you, you do perhaps have the help and assistance of somebody with Sun, Moon or Ascendant in either Scorpio, Capricorn or even Sagittarius, helping you out, guiding you in some new direction, and being quite forceful with you. I feel there's somebody in your life that's quite forceful with you. It's not just me. I'm not the only one insisting that you get into this new world and just dive right in without any fear. There is somebody in your environment encouraging you, maybe a teacher or a coach, saying, do it, do it. So it's like, I'm glad to know I'm not the only one telling you this. So go with it, go with it. You know, this thing, I'm just doubling back on that, Taurus, this thing of, I failed once, I'll fail again. I always have to have one eye over my shoulder watching in case I fail. Now that's attracting failure. But I mean, if you have a child, a small child, and they start to walk, and you prop them up and say, go on now, start walking, and they're learning, they're going to fall every single time, every time. What are you going to do? Say, oh, no, this baby, I'm going to have to send it back. It just keeps falling. It's a write-off. This baby, it's a faller. It's not a walker. No, you don't. You have patience and you watch, and every step it takes, it gets stronger and stronger, and it uses the furniture and everything to hold on and get its balance until it gets stronger in that muscle area and the whole thing. And then, lo and behold, you've got a baby who's now a walker. And that is how you approach it. So you set it up and it falls once. It's not like, oh, well, this one isn't a walker. You just keep going and keep going until you finally do experience the kind of ease with how you can do what you're doing now, you know? Now, we're coming towards the end of the month. Mars in Scorpio card. Mars is in Scorpio this month, in the 7th house. Now, I do feel coming towards the end of the month, something might be a little bit of a challenge. It could be between you and your partner, or maybe even somebody new that you meet and get passionate with this month, or even a boss or a business partner or somebody quite close to you. There's a feeling of being very angry. It's like you're putting in a lot of work into them and you're not getting it back. Like a relationship, you're putting a huge amount of effort into the relationship, the passion, the drive, the ideas, let's do this, let's try that, let's go here. And I feel many of you towards the end of the month are going to go through a period of seething with your partner because they're not responding in the way that you want. Now, there's a thing here that's very tempting too, Taurus. If you see that they're not responding, you might start putting your foot down and insisting. That's never a good move, okay, my love? Never, never, never a good move. Don't do that. We don't ever have to demand from people if they're not willing, you know. But what I feel is just keep going with what you're doing, even if towards the end of the month there might be a bit of a challenge. Around December 22nd, I feel that could be happening, where it could be an issue with a contract either, not just a partner, but with a contract, maybe even a work contract, being very disappointed or unhappy with a renewal of a contract or some details about a contract, or you arrive at the holiday bonus and you're saying, I deserve more. Venus is in there in the 10th house, having to really insist how I'm unhappy about what you've paid me for my overtime or something like that. There is what I feel, Taurus, a seething. But there's also this thing of, I'm not letting this go. I will insist and insist and insist until I get the contract I want, the money I want, excuse me, or the response I want. Now remember, Taurus, you're very likable this month, so you catch more flies with honey than vinegar, okay? You'll get through it, by the way. Now, coming to the end of the month, a new start and something that's much fairer for you. On a very literal level, maybe there's a new passion with a sun, moon, or ascendant Libra. Or for some of you, maybe some news at the end of the month of the birth of a child. Something maybe that it seems only fair, it was only right. This is a gift from the universe. This is something put right. This person deserves it. Maybe it's you. I deserve to hear that good news. And maybe it's in general, it's like, I deserved to hear a bit of good news, and you do, you get to hear it. But for many of you, there's a feeling of, excuse me, I'm just going to say this. With this, for some of you, and because there's energy in the 9th house and Venus moving into the 10th house, we could potentially now, Taurus, really sit down and say, do you know what? Something has been so unfair in my life. I think it's time that I sought counsel about this. Maybe legal advice, going to a union, going to the police, going to somebody. For me, it's more like something that was unfair, like a work contract or something, or a business contract or a client disagreement. There's a feeling of, you know what? I'm not just going to sit back and take this. They think I'm going to sit back and take this, but I'm not, actually. I'm not. But before I can make any great big move, and I'm ready to move, I need advice. I need legal advice, financial advice, maybe spiritual advice. I need advice because I'm ready to move with something. And that could be very positive, starting a new project, a new venture. Maybe some of you need to get visas because you're going into 2020, moving to another country, and you're saying, yeah, I absolutely need advice on how to get all my documents together. I have something that I need advice for. So it could be a thing, as I said, of I need legal advice on this shit because I'm not letting it go, or I need kind of how do you say, consulate advice or travel advice from somebody who knows what's going on to start a new project or even a new business thing. But Taurus, it's all very good. I'm intrigued with these two coming there out side by side after this big calamity. Calamity happens, and I know I'm saying calamity, but actually what it is a great freedom for you. It's the breaking through. It's actually like, consider it like being the chicken who finally breaks through the egg. It's hard work. It's hard work, and you have to come out of a comfortable place. But when you get out, you're living a whole new life, a bigger life, a better life, more evolved life. But you seem to be feeling with great strength this urge to move in a new direction. And I love it, Taurus, and big congratulations for you for that. And 2020 is going to be pure magic for you. And I think all through 2020, even in January, there could be real mind-blown moments, you know. So my beauty, I'm going to leave it at that. And as you know, I say this all the time, but you know these are just the general energies, right? To get into the real nitty-gritty for those of you in a relationship, for the singles, what the heck is going on there? For money and career, for home, family, friends, or anything we don't touch upon here, you know by now where to come. You come to the deep read, the VIMEO readings, and in the description box down there below, you'll see a link. Click into it, come over, we'll open it all out and get really stuck into the energies, Taurus, and see what's a light for you this month. So I'm going to see you over there, but if not, my love, I'll see you next month, and Have an absolutely fantastic holiday season. I might, I think, see you before the new year, but if not, I will leave you as always with all my love and a great, great, great big kiss from me to you. Mwah. Until next month, my beautiful. Bye.